right. Joining us on the show today via Zoom, we are very fortunate to have this person come and join us on the show today. He is the leader for the Labour Party, current Prime Minister of New Zealand, here to talk to us all about the elections this year. We've got Chris Hipkins in the house. Let's go!
G'day, how are you? Good to talk to you.
Talofa lava, Prime Minister Hipkins. Now, we are in election week. Big day coming up. How are you feeling? What's the feeling in the Labour camp?
Oh, look, I think we've got a bit of momentum heading into the last week of the election campaign. We're excited about the election. All election campaigns are exciting. This one's been particularly exciting because, I got COVID right towards the end of the campaign and have had to spend a fair amount of time sitting in a hotel room and meeting people via Zoom rather than out and about pressing the flesh on the campaign trail like we normally do. But that hasn't stopped us, making sure that we're getting the message across that this campaign's really important. All election campaigns are important. The future of our country is going to be decided by, the people who show up to vote.
That's the one. And, talking about you having COVID and all that, you soldiered through the campaign election last week, having COVID and all that. I feel like that's a sort of a statement to the National Party saying that, even though you had COVID, the Prime Minister is still able to show up even when you're sick, right?
Look, the thing about being Prime Minister that I've discovered over the short period of time that I've had this job is you can't control, what gets thrown at you. You have to respond to events when they happen. And getting COVID is pretty unfortunate, but it is just one of the things that can happen to you. And so you've got to keep on going.
Very nice.
And so we're going to talk about your buddy over there in the opposition, Christopher Luxon. He declined the offer to reschedule last week's Christchurch debate, and you called him out on it. Yet we saw him on social media, on the news. He was heavily continuing with his media interviews, making public appearances. Do you think that was a tactic of the opposition to make the most of you being in isolation? And are you wary that he's become more popular now with the public?
Oh, look, I think, he clearly doesn't like questions and he doesn't like to be challenged on the fact that he's not answering any questions. So he prefers the soft media interviews where he doesn't get asked any tough questions because he knows that he can't answer the tough questions. Their numbers don't add up. Mm-hmm. And when you actually do force them to answer the tough questions, it's not great listening. What they're proposing to do is cut a lot of the things that New Zealanders rely on. We know that they're going to have to, things like the free prescriptions, which are making it easier for people to access healthcare, they're going to cut those. They're going to cut the subsidies for 2-year-olds in early childhood education. They're going to stop building new public houses. We've been building record numbers of new public homes. They're going to stop doing that. They're going to change the way benefits are calculated so that more kids end up living in poverty. They don't like to be challenged on those things, but, that's the very real consequence of, a potential change of government.
And so, after the recent debates, you topped the polls as the most likable leader. How confident are you going into this week's final debate before the election day?
Well, look, I'm looking forward to the final debate, but actually it's about more than that. What really matters is that people get out and vote. If you want to continue with the progress that we've been making over the last 6 years, if you want to see more kids lifted out of poverty, if you want to see us tackling climate change, if you want to see us investing in rebuilding our health system and rebuilding our education system, then you have to get out there and vote for that. And giving your party vote to Labour is the way that we can continue the momentum that we've got.
Now, speaking of voting and those who don't vote, recent research which has popped up in our organisation has shown young Pasifika male from the ages of 18 to 35, they're the largest ethnic and demographic group who do not vote. We here on our show, The Morning Shack, we have a 70% Pacific male listenership audience. What do you say to those young men, and how will Labour Party's policies best benefit them?
This really matters. Elections really matter. And if you don't show up and don't vote, then other people make decisions on your behalf. So you've got to show up. You've got to show up at the polling booth and you've got to have your say. I think for those, that particular demographic that you're talking about, they're people who are working hard trying to get ahead, and they'll often feel like the harder I work, the harder it gets. Actually, if you want a government that's on your side, if you want a government that's focused on making sure that your hard work is rewarded with higher wages, and you want a government that's going to help you with the cost of living by doing things like taking GST off fruit and vegetables, making dental care free for that age demographic. So for under 30s, we want to make dental care free. Those things are going to make a real difference. And if you want those things, you've got to get out and vote for them by giving your party vote to Labour.
Nice. Well, I am thinking of running for Prime Minister at the next election at some point, maybe. I was thinking, I'll try to grab your thoughts there, Chris, on what your thoughts are on my party name. I'm going with hearty at the party. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I won't be. I wouldn't give up your day job just yet.
Let me give you my slogan at least. My slogan is don't vote, don't complain.
That's actually a really good slogan, and it applies very much to this election. So, I think make sure you get out and vote.
Nice.
Now, I want to go to one of your other buddies, David Seymour. He made some comments earlier about abolishing the Ministry of Pacific People. He says the MPP are not generating the results that Pasifika communities need. What do you say to that? And how will the Labour Party ensure that MPP is, one, being kept accountable for its spending, and two, producing effective results for our Pasifika communities here in NZ moving forward?
The Ministry for Pacific Peoples is relatively new, and so they have been playing a significant role. If you look at the significant investments we're making in health and education to improve outcomes for Pacific people, actually, the Ministry for Pacific Peoples has been behind a lot of that. You need a strong advocacy organisation to make sure Pacific voices don't get overlooked and forgotten in the decision-making process. And I think the Ministry for Pacific Peoples is doing that. It is a relatively new organisation, but I think the sort of divisive rhetoric that we've seen out of David Seymour, where he's talking about blowing them up, I just think is not what modern election campaigns should be about.
Yes, very, very, very true. And before we wrap everything on up, you did tell me not to quit my day job, but I was saying, if you do end up running again, knock on wood, you do end up getting to run again for your next election for your campaign. I just want to pitch a few policies out there to you, Chris, and see what are your thoughts on these ones, okay? What are your thoughts on this one? This policy of bringing back the Lee snack that was discontinued. What are your thoughts, bro? Possible or?
Look, frankly, having spent quite a lot of time sitting in a hotel room over the last couple of days isolating with COVID, I'd love to have the old Le snack. Perfect balance of cheese and cracker. But I'm not necessarily sure the government will be able to bring them back, but I'd love to see them back on the shelves.
I got another one here for you. Up the wires gets added to the dictionary. What are your thoughts, bro?
Oh, totally. It should be. I see on my phone, actually, my Vodafone, now One New Zealand, it's now on the top of my top left-hand side of my screen, and it's always been there for the last couple of weeks. I like it.
Nice. And last one to wrap everything up on this part here, which is everyone who's named Regan gets the Monday off, and everyone who's named Gabby has to work the weekend. Wow. What are your thoughts, bro?
I don't know that that's going to be very popular. It's going to disadvantage half of our target demographic. So
Oh my gosh. Well, Chris, it has been so good to have you on the show and just chatting to us about your thoughts on the election. Anything that you want to wrap up with in terms of like getting the youth or the younger or first voters to kind of vote for the first time? What are your thoughts or like your message towards them to get out there and vote?
Everybody's futures get determined by the people who show up at the polling booth. So whether it's the first time you voted or whether you're a lifelong voter, make sure you vote in this election. Your voice matters. You matter. And it's really important that you actually participate in this process. And so I'm asking you to give your party vote to Labour because I am in this for you. That's what the sign behind me says. I want to actually make sure that we're creating a better New Zealand for everybody.
Yes, and also they're giving away free dental. Unfortunately, Regan over here, he's over 30, so you don't qualify. But
I'm looking after my girl. I've been trying to, at least. Oh, my gosh. But, hey, Chris, we appreciate you for coming on through, and best of luck for your campaign as well, brother.
All right. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Chris.